Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. With me here in the studio, as you can see, to take a look through those newspapers, we're joined by our Wednesday night regulars, the Daily Mirror's Associate Editor, Kevin Maguire, and the Daily Mail columnist, Sara Sharif. Welcome and great to see both of you. So as ever, to the front pages, let us kick off with the Daily Mail, which leads with the prisoner who is on the run with the headline, terrorist suspect flees jail strapped under a delivery van. The Daily Telegraph also with Daniel Khalif's face on their front page with the headline, terror suspect escapes jail under a lorry. Front page of the Eye, mortgage relief on the way, hints the bank chief as Andrew Bailey signals good news for homeowners after the rates hit 5.25%. The Financial Times also says Bailey's top-of-the-cycle signal cast doubt on more rate rises to come, sending the pound to a three-month low. The Metro leading with Sara's death, an incident as her fugitive parents break cover and say they are ready to talk to police. That's the case of Sara Sharif. The Guardian leads with a story of an undercover police officer who deceived a woman into a 19-year relationship. Front page of the Daily Express, we see the Rolling Stones, who today announced a new album. Their lead, though, the Prime Minister declaring he'll make the UK the best place in the world to do business. It's a bit hot, according to the front page of The Star, as the UK melts under 32 degrees heat, although enjoy it while you can, they say. Hear, hear. A reminder, by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you watch us. So let us discuss more. Joined by Kevin and Sara. Kevin, you kick off. Daily Mail, if you don't mind. This terrorist suspect, under a van, it appears, a food delivery van. How did he get access to a vehicle at Wandsworth Jail?
Yeah, dressed as a chef, according to the Mail. So how did he get that? Presumably prison kitchens. But to strap yourself under a van and be driven out, I mean, it's something from a film,
yeah,
like a prisoner of war film.
It is.
I don't want to...
The Great Escape.
Yeah, in some way, I don't want to glamorise, anyway, somebody who's accused of terrorist offences, but what a remarkable escape. And it's so rare, too, because very few people do get out of prisons now. It used to be quite commonplace. I remember when I was a young reporter, it seemed to be happening all the time. But now there's a huge manhunt for this person who... this man, the former soldier, who the Mail say was suspected of spying for Iran. So terrorism offences accused of and breaching the Official Secrets Act. But where is he? He's said he's linked to the Kingston area, where I used to live in south-west London. But
it's an old-fashioned, cracking, old-fashioned story.
Out of a Victorian jail.
Out of a Victorian jail, exactly. So it's quite exciting. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's quite exciting.
Really, it's not.
It's not exciting.
No, it's not. But it's because dressed as a chef.
It's just,
I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's a kind of a story that's not a political story. It's an actual story, you know, which will unfold. You know, there will be a manhunt. He will be found.
Khalif is clearly resourceful, which would make it harder for the police, I suspect, to find him.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason it's not is because of the heightened security at ports and airports, delayed passengers, you know, the warnings not to approach him, you know, security stepped up. You know, there is a sort of desperation to find this person. And as you say, what are his skills at subterfuge and hiding himself?
Well, he's trained by the army, so presumably quite good. And, well, I mean, anyone who can strap themselves to the bottom of a van is going to be pretty... dangerous, I would say.
Well, he needs an accomplice or a mate with a back room. And that mate or accomplice isn't known to the police. And then you can lie low for weeks or months and then try and get out with a dodgy passport, I imagine.
Well, there's ports on high alert. Police believe the ex-soldier may be trying to flee the country. Well, I guess you would. Alex Chalk, the Justice Secretary, is already in conversation with the prison governor. Lots of questions for them.
Yeah.
And again, local Labour leaders are talking about understaffing at Wandsworth Jail. That goes back years, you see, talking about... you know, how overcrowded Wandsworth is amidst understaffing and budget cuts as well.
All that is true. I mean, it's an incredibly old prison. I've only seen it from the outside, I'm glad to say. I've never been inside. But there was a government recruitment drive recently which had admitted that the number of prison officers, the shortage, was a big problem, compromising
But this has been a problem
security.
for a long time. Actually, this has been a problem for a number of
years.
years. Our prisons are very old, very understaffed, very poorly. I mean, most of them are just on their last legs. I mean, there hasn't been a. It's very difficult for any government to sort of to sort of say, right, we're going to spend a lot of money building new prisons, because everyone says, well, why would we do that? You know, it's not a popular thing. So
you can get staffing right.
Well, you can get staffing right, but the thing is, it's very difficult to, in a sort of modern world, to police prisoners in Victorian buildings, you know, where they have all sorts of access to drones, taking things in, mobile... I mean, they're not... You know, criminals tend to be quite good at this kind of thing, and it's very hard for, I think...
But I still don't understand how you get access to an area which has vehicles coming in and out.
He was working in the kitchens, and also a lot of these prisons tend to... I mean, this guy was probably quite clever. You know, he could have very easily inveigled himself and made it seem like he was the sort of person who could be trusted a little. But that does happen in prisons, unfortunately. And, you know, it only takes a clever person to sort of worm their way into the good books, and they get put on a nice detail, and you know, off you go. And you know, I do think... I mean, prisons are overcrowded. There are too many people in them. We send too many people to prison, actually, genuinely. We send lots of people to prison who really don't need to be in prison, who, you know, who have done...
And are made worse by it as well.
You know,
it's
exactly. I mean, prison...
expensive, and it makes it worse.
It makes it worse, and the conditions are terrible, and the staff are demoralised, and often, you know, nobody wants to do these jobs because they're poorly paid, not appreciated, and they get abused all the time.
Incredibly tough, because you're dealing with people who don't want to be there. They had to work through COVID. You know, they're key workers, but they are not well-paid prison officers. They're banned from striking, which just shows you they have few employment rights. It's just a basic right. You should be able to go on strike. And you can see why people don't want to become prison officers. And I've met quite a few in my time, and you know,
I mean, I've been around quite a few.
They're good people,
and they are trying. They do really try hard to do their jobs, but they're very poorly looked after, I think, on the whole.
OK, there's the Times as well. Terror suspect escapes prison. Questions over lower security jail and vehicle checks. You could say that. There are lots of questions for that governor and the staff there to answer on this one. And the manhunt obviously continues, does it not? Let's move on, shall we, to the Metro front page, I think. The fact that the death of Sara Sharif was an incident. So this was a video sent to one of our correspondents and the BBC overnight, this video by the stepmother with her father alongside, being silent, explaining, you know, why they're in hiding effectively.
It's just so weird. It's just so weird because you know, you watch the video and it's almost as though she's saying, "Poor little me, I'm having an awful time."
Let's have a listen to the video then, shall we?
Firstly, I would like to talk about Sara. Sara's death was an incident. Our family in Pakistan are severely affected by all that is going on. All the media have been giving wrong statements and making up lies. Imran did not give a statement that Sara fell down the stairs and broke her neck.
Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, if your child falls down the stairs and breaks its neck, you don't put all the other children on an airplane and go to Pakistan.
Well, they were saying that's not what actually
That's
happened,
not what
but it was an
happened.
incident.
OK.
So they said there was an incident.
Right, OK. So why aren't they... I don't understand, but I still don't understand why you wouldn't call the police or the ambulance. I mean, why would you just leave? I don't... It's odd, very odd.
Right, been very charitable. People deal with grief in different ways. But I'm sorry, you know, jump on a plane, come back, speak to the police. That's it. And if you're not doing that, you're not
going to leave your child dead in a house on its own, are you?
No, I'm sorry. Instead of recording that video, it was self-justification, and you're the victim. There is a dead kid.
10-year-old.
Your dead kid.
It just seems very odd. The whole thing is just very peculiar. And to release a video sort of trying to get everyone to feel sorry for you is a very strange and probably not terribly wise thing to do, I don't think.
Well, I think it'll backfire.
OK, well, we'll see what happens. Willing to cooperate. You know, the UK authorities presumably trying to work out how that would happen if they are in hiding.
Get a flight back and speak to the police.
OK. Let's move on to RAC, shall we? A big round the Commons about it. Obviously, today, the cowboy builders' accusation against Rishi Sunak. One wonders if it sticks. The list is out of the schools, and Sakir blasting the Tories for a botched job.
But what's interesting here is that's page 4 of the Metro. I think there's one paragraph paragraph on the front page of the FT. Other papers been leading on it. It's gone inside. There's probably some relief for Gillian Keegan after the bashing she's had for several days, including Rishi Sunak. The row hasn't gone away, but it's kind of died down. But I think it's inflicted a lot of damage on the government.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is it's cumulative, isn't it? If the government was having a really brilliant month and it was all going really well, it wouldn't really, they'd have been able to deal with this in a much more effective way. It just comes, it's one thing after another at the moment for the government, and it's, and the theme is underinvestment, infrastructure crumbling, things not working. You know, we had the shutdown of the air traffic control last week. It's just can somebody just, I mean, what I don't understand about this story is that if you locked down the schools as they did, why didn't someone say at some point, OK, well, schools are closed, so this would be a good time to maybe think about doing something about this awful rack problem that we've got? Because they knew about it in 2018. And, I mean, I know that some schools didn't return the questionnaires and all of that kind of stuff, but still, that's quite a long time ago.
There were a lot of kids still in school, though, weren't there?
Well, but they were very reduced.
Key worker kids were, they still needed extra help,
Yeah, but, I mean,
they let younger ones back earlier.
But, you would have... You could have, at that point, because construction wasn't shut down. So you could have tried to make some sort of serious inroads into it. But then, of course, we've had 5 education ministers, haven't we? Or was it 6? I don't know. We've had quite a lot.
And probably another one tomorrow at this rate. But
that's quite a lot. It's been a sort of bit of a kind of carousel, and education is such a cornerstone of government and a functional government. Was it Tony Blair who said education? I mean, that really hasn't changed, and also people really feel it. Voters really feel it because it doesn't. In a way, it doesn't really matter whose fault it is and who made a mistake and whether anybody was sitting on their quote-unquote backside, as Gillian Keegan put it. The fact is that children won't have gone to school this week and parents will have had to scramble for childcare, and it's just... After
13 years, a government can't blame anybody else. It's got to take responsibility. Yeah. It'll get responsibility, but of course it's going to cost to do it, and investment budgets were cut, so it's partly a legacy of that. Also, as time goes on, this concrete gets further and further from its sell-by date.
Yeah, well, the first warning, I think, was in 1996, wasn't it? Or at least the mid-90s. Gillian Keegan said 94, I know, earlier this week. Anyway, lots more still to come, including the King working harder than his mother in his first year on the throne. That and more to come. You are watching the press preview with me once again, Kevin Maguire and Sara Sharif. Welcome back to both of you. So, Horizon, the EU's Horizon Research Club, to which the UK looks like might be rejoining. Yeah,
unpicking a bit of Brexit, a very damaging bit of Brexit, because it's a huge programme. It's 85 billion, although the FT have it as 95 billion euros rather than pounds, but Britain did incredibly well from it because we have a fantastic research sector that's been frozen out to some extent. It was agreed in 2020 we'd go back in. We got held up until there was an agreement on the Northern Ireland framework, the Windsor framework. Looks like it's finally done. We'll have to pay an entry fee and subscriptions, and there's some back money that will have to go in. The figures aren't there, but it's good for Britain and the rest of Europe that will be back in it.
But I think it's part of the government's new push, which is Brexit is going to work and we are going to make it work. Because simultaneously, Rishi Sunak's also done a piece for The Express talking about, business deals. He's going to India tomorrow, isn't he? So I think I'm starting to see emerging a little bit of a sort of kind of electoral theme, because of course, one of the reasons the Tories won such a big majority was because of the kind of Red Wall, and they're very Brexity, and so...
Or were.
Well, I don't know, maybe they... Who knows? You're not very Brexity.
No, but to make Brexit work, you have to undo Brexit.
But this idea... The idea that the government can reap the benefits of Brexit and that, reset... He's calling this this thing. We can join hands when we need to and not when we don't. And I think this is quite a good theme for the Tories politically.
OK, quickly, the King has worked for more days in his first year as monarch than his mother did. Not as many I read, in the paper last night, which I think did this story, sorry, the Metro, as George VI, who worked 183 days in a year. You like this one very quickly, Sarah?
Well, it's the year, well, the anniversary of the Queen's death is on Friday, so I think that this is a little bit of Palace spin, just reminding us all that, you know, the Carolean age is upon us. And that he's jolly hard-working.
Worked. What's he done? Has he been driving long-distance lorries or been on a building site, on a production line in a factory?
If you continue in this vein, we won't get to the Rolling Stones.
Sorry, he's
anyway,
unveiled plaques to himself and sipped a few drinks. That's what he's done. Worked.
Rolling Stones, it's taken 18 years for them to release a new album. Their combined age is 235, and what fun they had today.
Yes, and I like the fact that their video still has the sort of obligatory semi-clad sort of 23-year-old lovely sprawled all over I mean, they are incorrigible. It's brilliant.
Like
Okay,
zombies.
still rock and roll, still dangerous, as one poet put it today. Kevin Maguire, Sarah Vine, thank you.